Hello again, and welcome to another week of Central Reads, our 2024 Bible reading plan. Last week, we read all of 2 Corinthians, one of Paul's greatest letters. This week, we start on a 3-week journey of something very different. We're turning way back into the Old Testament, more into the kind of really important moments in the history of the kings of Israel. And those stories take place in 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st and 2nd Kings, actually. And this week, we are reading a bunch of chapters from 1st Samuel that really tell the story of Samuel, who was a prophet, who God had specially called for this time. The stories surrounding Samuel's birth, with his mother Hannah, and then with him in the temple, with Eli are just wonderful stories, and they're so rich and there's so much to it. But really what they all lead to is Israel wanting a king so that it could be like every other nation. And God says, this is a bad idea, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. And so they want a king. And so the first week we're going to read really about the rise of Saul. Saul was the first king of Israel. He was a very mixed bag, but really more a bad king than a good king. The second king, David, who is what we'll get into in the future. He's the much more famous and better king. But yeah, I want to encourage you to read these stories, as these are beautiful moments with God and God's people. They're beautiful stories about who God is, and they're really important because they kind of lay the narrative foundation for the idea of the king, which is a huge theme throughout the entire Old Testament, but it's also a huge theme in the New Testament, because Jesus is portrayed as the king coming to finally rule, right? Jesus talks about about the kingdom of God on earth. Well, the kingdom of God is about a king, and who's the king? He is. And so these lay the foundation for Jesus in a way where we can see good and bad. We can see the contrast with who Jesus is. But yeah, enjoy the reading this week. It's very different than last week. If you have any questions, please ask me. And the Bible Project's videos on the Kings, on 1st and 2nd Samuel, there's podcasts about this. They are brilliant. So please watch those, but also reach out to me if you have any questions. If you want more resources, I would love to have that conversation. All right, happy reading.